Periodically, now and again, one law enforcement group or another rises up against the secretive black leather and motorcycle club with the picturesque and now infamous name of the Hells Angels. It happened again today, just after 10 a.m. This time, it was the FBI, federal drug agents, and local authorities.
Came in. Can I search
one? Yes, sir.
For the what?
Federal search one.
For the premises? Okay.
They raided Angel headquarters in Oakland, 12 arrests there. They arrested local founder Sonny Barger at his Oakland home. They arrested Angel members in Alaska, Kentucky, and the Carolinas. 38 warrants in all, most drug charges. 5 residents were listed as illegal amphetamine labs. At least $1 million in cash and drugs located at various arrest scenes. Barger is charged with possession of explosives intended for the murder of a man the Angels suspected of killing one of their own.
The Hells Angels have an unwritten code that says, in effect, no one need ever worry about being cheated or burned when dealing with one of their narcotics dealers, a kind of satisfaction or your money back guarantee. I'm here today to tell you that that code no longer applies.
It all came together after a 2-year investigation helped along by inside information provided by a member of the Alaska Club chapter. At the federal building, arrested members and others seemed bemused.
Seems like it happens every time you turn around for no reason.
It seems like it happens when it gets close to election every year. It seems like for some reason, I don't know why. We're not political, but they sure put us on a political thing,
Big Al was not one of those arrested. The strange reaction isn't surprising when you consider how difficult making the charges stick against this group has been over the years. The Angels, as a group, remain one of the odder modern bits of folklore, emerging as they did from the minds of some disgruntled veterans after World War II. As individuals, they remain private, even shadowy. Men like Sonny Barger hold very tightly to their own myths. Here's Carolyn Tyler.
Sonny Barger was not surprised at all by his arrest, according to an attorney who spoke with him tonight at the request of Barger's wife, Sharon. And despite today's nationwide sweep, which has landed more than 30 members of the motorcycle gang behind bars, attorney Charles Gretsch says the 49-year-old Barger is in a cheerful mood tonight. The legendary Hells Angels have been in trouble with the law since the 1960s, and Barger has served his share of time. But federal authorities thought throat cancer had forced him to slow down. The biker has had operations, including a laryngectomy, and today requested special equipment and medication during his stay in jail. Sonny Barger may be cheerful, but he's not very talkative tonight. He's enjoyed meeting the press in the past, but this time he sent a message to reporters that he won't talk till he hits the streets. That won't happen until Monday at the earliest, when he has a detention hearing. In the meantime, he's being held here without bail. At the Hall of Justice in San Francisco, Carolyn Tyler, Channel 7 News, tonight.
It really is unusual for Sonny Barger not to want to talk to the press. He has used the press often in the past to express himself. It may be the laryngectomy, though others think simply he wants to see exactly what lays ahead for him legally.
Could be a tough time this time.
The years, they aren't talking much. As Channel 7's Carol Ivey reports, the Angels and their supporters will say only that the drug and explosive charges against them are trumped up.
Friends and relatives of some of those arrested stopped by today at Hells Angels headquarters on Foothill Boulevard in Oakland. The place was locked. There was no one inside. Yesterday, this was the scene of just one of 26 raids in the Bay Area. 12 club members were arrested here. Sources say there are federal warrants for 37 and that there will be more arrests.
I think it's all the bum rap, because I don't think they've got nothing on them. For one thing, if they'd leave them alone, they do more good than they do bad.
What do you mean?
They help a whole lot of people. They're there when people need them, and they're anything that happens, the first thing they do say is, oh, blame the Angels, blame the Angels. And it's a bunch of bull. It's a bunch of bull.
Jones also defended club leader Ralph Sonny Barger, once again the target of a federal probe. 7 years ago, a government racketeering case against the Hells Angels failed. This time, the government claims to have solid evidence, including details regarding the Angels' alleged multi-million-dollar methamphetamine empire. They say this welding shop, called The Warehouse, was an active laboratory. But a search yesterday that included a drug-sniffing customs service dog is reported to have turned up nothing. Those picked up claim the charges are political.
Every time there's something comes up, though, they get blamed. And, it's not them. I mean, if they go after the real traffic and leave the Angels alone, the Angels could do them a lot more help than they could bad.
Police say the arrests are based on 2 years of accumulated evidence, including tape recordings of national Hells Angels board meetings at which methamphetamine sales were discussed. These elaborate Hells Angels gravestones at the Evergreen Cemetery in Oakland are proof that the Hells Angels have always taken great pride in the fact that they stick together, not only in life, but in death. And so it may have come as something of a shock when they realized that the federal case against them this time is based on information from a member, an informant inside a Hells Angels chapter. Drug officials say the disgruntled member actually rose through the ranks of a chapter in Alaska after going to police. He allowed them to wire him for sound, obtaining what have been described as some startling conversations. In Oakland, Carol Ivey, Channel 7 News.
Well, Sonny Barger and the other Hells Angels are due in court next Monday, and then a judge will decide whether the government really does have enough evidence to continue to hold them, at least without bail. Suzanne?
Well, in other news today, state and federal authorities now say they are flabbergasted by the amount of evidence seized in yesterday's raids on Hells Angels motorcycle clubs in 5 states. Prosecutors hope they have enough evidence now to end the club's suspected drug-running business. Wilson Van Alst with an update.
The evidence collected yesterday is still being inventoried. It will take weeks, maybe months, to assess its importance. State Narcotics Supervisor Jerry Smith says it's clear the raids took the Hells Angels by surprise.
We've seized over $3 million in cash. We've seized over 100 guns. We've seized some explosive devices, bombs. We have over 30 pounds of methamphetamine.
For years, law enforcement agencies have believed the Hells Angels either had or were trying to get control of the drug methamphetamine, known as speed or crank, in California and ultimately nationwide. Agents say the Hells Angels and their associates ran laboratories, established distribution networks, and gathered huge profits from sales of the drug. For years, law enforcement gathered intelligence on the Hells Angels, and in 1979, leaders of the group were charged in a sweeping federal indictment. There were arrests, and there was a long, expensive trial, and the government lost. The Hells Angels say it was a vindication, proof that they are a legitimate group, more interested in Christmas toy drives than narcotics and guns.
I think yesterday's raid kind of shows that maybe that's not all truthful on their behalf.
Prosecutors are reluctant to say the evidence gathered yesterday will lead to another broad-ranging and possibly crippling set of racketeering charges. But it's clear the government will have that in mind as it analyzes the material collected in yesterday's raids. Wilson Van Alst, News Center 4.
22 years of club pictures.
I do not believe in the government anymore. I don't believe anything that I learned in school and that I grew up to believe. I don't believe it, and this started in about 79. And I do believe in the Hells Angels, and I believe in my members, and we love them very much, and all of us are behind them.
Oakland chapter leader Ralph Sonny Barger, who has had surgery for throat cancer, asked for and got a promise from Magistrate Joan Brennan that necessary medical supplies would be delivered to him in jail. Like the others, he also told the judge he hasn't yet got a lawyer because he doesn't understand the charges. In his case, they involve possession of explosives. At the Federal Building in San Francisco, Carol Ivey, Channel 7 News.
The accused Hells Angels will be back in court again next week. They will be hearing whether or not they're going